What's up, guys? So my last video, obviously we were doing all the fun intake installation stuff. Today it's not so fun, so I still haven't gotten to ride the bike. I just put the tank and stuff back on to take some finishing pictures. But what I found when I was doing that is right down there. Oh, right there. So yeah, this top piece of the clamp is leaking. So that's super fun. So, when I ordered a radiator, I think it's like 350 bucks for replacement radiator. Obviously, I'm very far out of warranty, so wasn't going to get covered. But we got a trusty manual here. And we're going to get into it. So, my previous video shows you how to take the seat and tank off. I'm not going to rehash on that. We're going to take the fairing off to get to this bracket. Obviously you got to take the crash bars off, got to take the floorboard off, and then this piece right here actually just slides off and your radiator theoretically will slide out. So no one I've talked to has done this except for the dealer, so we're going to experience this together. Hopefully it goes well. Now all the boring stuff's done. I'll put a link in the description, or you can just go through my Challenger playlist for the tank removal, fairing removal, and all that stuff. So it's pretty easy. So obviously move your foot control. I didn't feel like taking the fog light off, so I just left that on. I think I noticed did anything about this. This is the new shift arm from Kyle over at Forever Rad and Santorum Works. It's all billet tube, and it does make your shifting a little bit more I don't know how to say it, direct, because obviously, you know, the old rod is just a piece of all thread. This makes everything feel a lot more connected. Anyway, so there is a bolt back here that you take out from the back side of your fairing with a T30. Just reach in there, pull it out. And then we have our 13mm bolt here, 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 and here. And then this piece comes off. And then you have another bolt back here. And then two down here that are 15mm. Then you have a 6mm Allen in here. Then you come back around here to your battery box. You have another 6mm Allen right there. And then obviously you're going to cut your zip ties here and here, and then that's your drain port. So I'm going to get this off first, and then we'll get this shroud off, and then we'll get the drain in. Now that's off. There was another sneaky little T30 bolt that held this bracket on back here. So there's two back here. So I had to take it off the wheel chuck to be able to move my forks around to get that off. And obviously all your normal bolts and everything just kind of pop right off. It's pretty self-explanatory. And then you have another 10mm over there, and then this 10mm right here. As you can see, it's been leaking, seeping for a little bit. Somehow there's a cigarette butt in there, and I don't smoke. But yeah, so that's all good to go. Let's see here. So what we're gonna do next is also the fan connector is back in there, and if you can see it. So it's right there. All I did was I took a screwdriver from the exhaust side and just popped it off. So the fan connector is disconnected. We're gonna open this up, then open that up, drain it, pop these two clamps off, and then in a theoretical world, as you can see right there, that's what she was doing. In a theoretical world, it's just gonna slide right out. Caps off. See how much of a mess we can actually make. I don't remember where I got this thing, but it comes in handy all the time, but it's nice and pliable for draining oil and coolant. Hopefully it doesn't shoot everywhere. Yeah, not too bad. So this bike is 3 years old. I normally do coolant flushes every 2-3 years anyway. So we're just going to call this a blessing in disguise. So I guess there was a little bit of extra coolant in there after all. They do make clamp pliers, but these just also work. Just twist the hose, pop that off with both hands. And then yeah, this just comes straight up. Now we're gonna go over here and transfer. What am I going to transfer? I'm going to have to pull the grommets off here, put them over here, and then obviously the fan. Everything will hop back on here, and we'll slide this back in. Swapped over the fan. It's just 3 10mm bolts. Obviously swapped out the grommets, so you just basically take the center piece out of here, use a screwdriver, and pry out the rubber piece, put the new rubber piece back in, put your center thing back in, and then here are your washers over there. So that's that. Make sure this little rubber thing grommet here doesn't fall out before you slide it in, because you have another one over here that fits like that. So I'm sliding the radiator, get my 2 hoses on, and then I'm going to put that bolt in over there, and I'm going to fill it up and work on bleeding the system. With the radiator slid in, put the clamps back where they belong, and I put that 10mm bolt in back over there, so it's sitting there. This is the part that is going to be a bit of an experiment. So the manual says you put a vacuum bleeder up here to get the air bubbles out. Talked to a couple Indian techs who have done this. They said they never have luck with the vacuum bleeder, and I don't have one. So he said what he normally does is he'll slowly fill it, obviously let the air bubbles come out, and then I'll come down here and just keep squeezing this hose and eventually purge most of the air bubbles out. Obviously, because the overflow tank back there is higher than what we were doing over here, that fluid level didn't change, so that's good back there. So just using Prestone 50/50, and we're going to fill it up slowly and let it burp, and then I'll slowly start putting this stuff back together. Well, that was taking entirely too long and extremely annoying. If you look down there, you see just how small the hole is to fill that. So what I did was just pop this clamp off, and I'm just directly filling up the radiator. I used about half of this already to fill this up. Squeezing on this and trying to get the air bubbles out. Add a little bit more until it comes out, and then just keep repeating the cycle. It would be nice. KTM radiator has it. Just a little bolt bleeder valve, so you can fill up this thing like that with this bolt undone. This radiator unfortunately does not. So we're just going to keep doing this and repeat until it's not accepting anymore. I'm going to put this hose back on and then start filling up from the top to get all the coolant in there. Kind of just like bleeding brakes. So fill it up a little bit, come down here, squeeze on the hose, get your bubbles coming out, sucks back down, more bubbles, sucks back down, and repeat until you don't see any more bubbles. I think bleeding it and filling it was probably the most annoying part of this job. So pretty sure I got it all out. Come down here, squeeze the hose. Really no air coming out. And the levels kind of staying the same. So I'm going to top that back off, leave the cap off, finish installing everything. All the torque values for all this stuff is in your maintenance manual. If you ask me for a link, I can provide you with one. But yeah, slowly going back together. So everything's back together. Like I said, just reversal removal. I just have my tank sitting up here just in case there's a leak or something. So like I said, what I did was I left this cap off this entire time, slowly bleeding it until there's absolutely no air bubbles coming out and the fluid level wasn't going back down. So I'm going to leave this off, leave my battery cover off, have my lights on to warm up the lithium battery. This hasn't ran in probably 2-3 weeks, but let's hope there's no leaks. As far as coolant usage, it's down to about right here, so you know when you get it pretty full. Plug in my fan because it is cold as shit outside, and we're going to be running this inside. So I'm going to start her up, run up the temperature until the fans turn on, thermostat opens, and we'll check for leaks. Then I'll probably pull the tank back off to verify everything's good up there, and continue assembly. So we let the fans kick on about 2 or 3 times. Turned the bike off, let it cool back down. The reservoir, I got a little bit more air out of it. I think it's pretty good now. I think I filled it up 2 or 3 times to get to this point. Then obviously check the rear reservoir, that's good. So I'm gonna play with it a little bit more, put the cap on, put everything back together and go ride it and get her up to temperature. Alrighty, I think it's like 40 degrees. Haven't been able to test it out with this yet, so we're gonna see. Just gonna rip it a little bit, get her up to temperature, and see if she leaks. There we have it, back in the garage. So I heat cycled it a few times. It's still, like I said, a little over 30 degrees here. So the temperature when I was out riding, it never it hovered at like 180, 185-ish. But it was pretty hard to get the fans to turn on. But no leaks. There was a little bit of residue I saw that I wiped up when I pulled over. But I think that was just from when I was draining it and I didn't clean it all off. But yeah, not a bad job. I'll put a link in the description for the part number for the radiator, and then a link in the description for removing the tank and the seat and everything else like that. If you got any questions, feel free to DM me or comment below. Thanks for watching, guys.